Namaste. Um, we had a full moon last night in Capricorn, 21 degrees, 21 minutes, opposite of the sun, which was 21:21 at Cancer. They're both cardinal signs. One is more masculine, one is more feminine. So it's about coming in and finding some balance. But what I really thought was interesting that I wanted to share is I listen to a lot of astrologers, but this one particular one is my favorite. Her name's Molly McCord, and she puts tons of content up. If you want to look at her website or look her up on YouTube, she's probably put out 4 videos just in the last few days. This one was put out last week, but I just listened to it the other day concerning this particular full moon. And I just want to divert away from that just a moment to say at the beginning of this year, I was putting emphasis on the fact that astrology was showing that Pluto is in its return around the sun, which is and it's crossing over the natal chart of the United States of America. And there were 3 points that this was going to be really important with this year. And the first one was in February, which is when the Ukraine and Russia war began. And the second one is where we're at right now in mid-July. And then the third one is going to be in December. So I want you to think about this. Think about what's happening in our world right now, especially in the United States. We have all of those hearings going on concerning the insurrection that happened on January 6th in 2020. So Molly, this astrologer, was saying the reason why this full moon is important, it's because it's going back to that Saturn-Pluto conjunction that originally happened in January of 2020, which I find fascinating that there's a connection because we saw what happened at that time and we see the result of what's happening now. So Pluto is all about like pulling up the dirt, pulling up the truth, right? And there's been a lot of misinformation. There's been a lot of mistruths, and things are getting more and more exposed. The truth is coming out, and this plays a really important role in what's happening not only in the US, but in the world. So I wanted to share what she said. Beyond that, she said, think about how your life has changed from January of 2020 to this point now in July of 2022. Consider how the world has changed and consider whether or not you are owning your own power. And then she went on to say, every full moon is asking us to illuminate some sort of truth. So the light of the full moon is always trying to highlight something within us or around us. Of course, that depends on our own personal natal chart and where this 2121 falls in any particular house and what that governs in our life. But she said, check in with what's happening in your life, in your home, and with your family, and to see if there is any more truth that is wanting to become illuminated. And then I'm going to end with this before we go into our physical practice. She said, stay compassionate and kind, stay responsible to yourself. And if you're feeling a need or a call or given an opportunity and your being says yes, go for it. Then she reminded us things can be improving even though things appear to be completely falling apart. So trust that the right changes are on their way. And I thought, boy, isn't that the truth? It just feels like everything's falling apart. But if we can trust that the greater good is coming and things will fall into place according to the truths that are coming out, hopefully that will be the case. With that being said, and the fact that we are still in this full moon energy, we're going to be working, yes, with the yin flow, but also with some still, quiet, deep stretches of yin. So let's go ahead and start on the mat. You're going to need a strap, and we are going to start on our backs. So let's go ahead and have the strap and hands reach. Fan the feet apart. Flex your ankles, lengthen through the back of the legs to bring more space to the lower lumbar region. And then let your feet fan out. Let your right hand rest on the lower belly and your right hand on the upper belly. So a hand below and a hand above the belly button. And the hands don't have to be right at the center. It can be slightly to the side. This way your arm bones can rest on the floor. And you can feel the earth beneath your body and the air hovering on top or over the body. Think of the earth as being solid and supportive, grounding and stable. We also often think of the heavens as being celestial, etheric. So feel supported by the heavens with this etheric field and air around you. Take some deep breaths in and out through the nose. And as you bring the breath underneath your command, feel the movement under your hands. And maybe ponder for a moment that question. Whether or not you're feeling a yes or a pull in one direction. Maybe it's time to step into your power, to step into your courage, and to follow that cue. If you've been disturbed by the madness, by the disarray of society, or the unruliness of politics, just trust that as things get messy, as truths become more apparent, things will fall back into place. And then consider your placement in it and the part that you play. Now let's explore the body. So walk the feet closer together and then gently draw the left knee in towards your upper body. Clasp your hands either behind your thigh or on top of your knee or shin. And find the Goldilocks approach. Not too much, not too little, just right. As you're drawing the knee towards your upper body, continue to breathe in that diaphragmatic way. You're receiving a little compression here. Keep the ankle, the foot, and the toes relaxed. Then we're going to be a little bit more yang in our approach with the next pose. So let's place the right hand onto the right hip. Let's take the left hand to the front of the knee and then stiff arm that left side where the knee rocks over the rim of the pelvis. Flex the ankle and then open to a variation of Padangusthasana B. Let the left hand slip underneath the left knee for support. You're just rotating the hip open. Taking a few more breaths. And then on your next inhale, find your strap. Draw the left knee back to center. And then take both hands to hold the strap as you wrap it around the sole of the foot. And then extend it up in the air. Taking Padangusthasana A. Firmly holding the strap, slightly tugging it down, but equally pushing the foot up into the fabric. Finding the edge of flexibility with your hamstrings, not being overdriven or competitive. There's nothing to prove. Just be where you can hold it, where you feel the work, but you can still maximize your breath. Take both ends of the strap into your left hand. Your right hand will plug down the right hip, and you're slowly leaning the leg and abducting it away from your midline. As that leg fans open to the side, feel the work through the inner thigh. Try to keep the navel neutral so it's not turning or wanting to twist. The foot should hover. The breath is maintained. Now this is preparing us for our next pose. Inhale, bring that leg back up. Exhale, bend the knees so that you can remove the strap. Now we're going to roll to the right side of the body, and you can keep the head resting on the arm, or you can lift it up in your hands. Now, for now, have your left hand in front of your chest. Ideally, you want to create and form a straight line with your body. If the balance is too unsturdy for you, you can slide the feet and angle them forward, and that can help. Otherwise, try to be here. All right. Now bring your left knee in towards the shoulder, and then fly the left foot up. Okay, now this is where we're balancing on the right side, and you may need the use of that left hand, okay? If you can balance without the hand, you can hold your thigh, your calf, your foot, or the big toe. Anatasana. So choose what works for you in the now. Let your stability, allow your patience, your focus, and your breath to help to preserve the pose. I meant to tell you, we're going to need some space around the mat. So hopefully you have it available or can make it available, because we're going to bring the left hand back down, and we're slowly bringing the left foot down. And we're going to spin onto the abdomen So the legs are L-shaped. And then we're going to point the left arm forward and the right arm to the right side. So it's like we're extending out north, south, east, and west. Now, when you get into this position, you may still be really stretching, but it's okay to let go. So maybe just soften your shoulders, your elbows, your wrist, fingertips. And then equally relax your hips, your knees, and your ankles. Some people prefer resting on the forehead, but it really does depend on your facial structure. For me, I like turning to one ear. If you need assistance in developing that aspect of letting go, all you have to do is emphasize your exhalations. Feel the difference when you do so. Now, a lot of these poses keep us closer to the ground, and that does help with grounding. So can walking barefoot outside, as well as emphasizing the out breaths, which we've already mentioned. And around the full moon, if you get too caught up in your headspace, sometimes it's even helpful to eat something heavier. Something more like meat or beans or potatoes. Now that we've been face planted down for a little bit, let's transition. Let's slide the hands under the shoulders. Lift the face and neutralize your neck so you're looking down. Curl the right foot under, lift the right knee off the floor, and then use your upper body strength to come up. And then you're gonna slip that left foot underside of the belly, take it across to the opposite side of your mat. Stay strong in your arms, stacking the bones, keeping the belly nice and snug. Holding just a couple more breaths. And then you're gonna slide your left knee back behind your left wrist. If you need deer pose, plop onto the back of that hip, soften the right foot, and lean out over the left shin. If you can handle swan or pigeon pose, then once you slide the knee over, keep the left hip off the floor, slide the right leg back more, and then bring it on down. So pick one of those two postures, please. Deer or swan. Notice how much density you may be experiencing on this left side. Breathe with consistency. Drawing new energy into yourself. And sending old, still, stagnant energy away. There will come a point where the sensation may pipe up more. If that's the case, please know that you can always back up, or you can also attempt to breathe stronger and deeper. Let that be maybe your response. Now, on your next in breath, let's slowly start to rise. Now, in deer or swan, doesn't matter. You're going to have your hands propped in front of you. You're going to have your arms straight and your head up, and you're just looking forward, setting your gaze at one spot. And then we're going to slip back down closer to the floor, long enough to lean onto that left hip and to slide back down onto our backs. And take a quick mini corpse or shavasana. So just recognize we were primarily working that left side, the leg and the hip. Notice how that side's been fed. Now let's feed into the other side. Walk the feet closer together and then draw your right knee in. Clasping a hold of the thigh or knee. And pulling in for that Goldilocks approach. Not too much, not too little, just right for you. The only action, since this is a yin approach, is just to create the shape, sustain it, and breathe. No more action required. Now we are going to transition to some activation. So go ahead and flex the ankles. Take the right hand in front of the right knee and stiff arm the leg so the knee rocks out over top of the pelvis. The left hand's going to plug down the left hip, and then you're going to fan the right knee open, slipping the hand underneath for support. A version of Padangusthasana B. And then pick up that right knee again, grab your strap, and move to Padangusthasana A, where the legs extended towards the ceiling. Push the strap into the foot and the foot up into the strap, activating the muscles more. Finding your edge, optimizing your breath. And consider how, once we have the courage or the drive to move forward or in a new direction, the legs are what make the important steps. Take both ends of the strap into the right hand. Left hand holds the left hip down as you abduct the leg away from your body. Let it splay off to the right. Cover the leg and the foot. But open up the inner quad, open up the adductor, open up the groin. Inhale, bring the leg overhead. Exhale, bend the knee and remove the strap. Set that to the side. And now turn to your left side body. Again, the head can be up or down. The legs can be angled or completely in that straight line. Hand resting in front of you to start with. Draw the right knee in and then push the foot up. And then determine here, do I need this hand to balance? Or do I need the hand to hold the leg? You can do either one. Some people do enjoy using the strap. I did not demonstrate that before, but it also is possible to bring the strap into this pose. Anatasana. Couple more breaths. And then when you release your hand, you're going to slowly take that leg down and then spin onto that belly, right arm forward, left arm to the left side, and figure out how you want to land your face. Being like a weather vane pointing in all four cardinal directions. And then soften into the pose. Relaxing shoulders, elbows, wrists, hips, knees, and ankles. Scan through. Is there any place resisting, relaxing into this position? It may show up somewhere unexpected. Perhaps your fingers or your face. Now let's inhale, slide your hands under the shoulders, hover the face, neutralize the neck, curl the left toes, peel off the floor and push up into this version of plank. But we're going to transfer that right leg now under the belly across to the opposite side. We're holding and strengthening here. And now slide your right knee behind your right wrist. And again, you can plop down for deer or keep that hip off the ground and square and walk it out to swan. Do what works best for you and your body. Not looking at one as being better or worse. They both have benefit. Maybe ponder at this time, have you noticed anything through conversation or any activity, anything internal or external, that is getting highlighted for you at this time? Instead of exiting out the way we did earlier, we're going to slowly start to prop up onto the hands. And this is where we eventually rolled back down to our back. But we're actually going to go into downward facing dog. So if you curl the back toes under, shift the right foot back, and take downward facing dog where you're angling the hips upward and the head downward. Now walk the hands back towards the feet, land your heels, and you're folding into your first dangling pose. We usually get this pose in a little earlier, but we were staying closer to the ground. Let your upper body feel that direction. And the eyes can be open or shut. The arms can hang, or you can hold your forearms. And feel free to change it along the way. We are going to get a little bit of a flow element in here. But before we do that, take 3 more breaths. So now let's walk the hands out in front, coming to a plank. Rock forward, lower down to chaturanga. Inhale, bloom to upward facing dog. And exhale, roll back to downward facing dog. Now we're going to do that twice more. Inhale, plank. Exhale, low push up. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, roll back. One more. Inhale, plank. Exhale, drop low. Land the knees and open the heart. And exhale, roll it back. From here, softly land your knees and untuck the toes. And then we're going to keep the hips over the thighs and send the arms out in front, dipping down to the chest and chin or chest and brow. See what feels better in that alignment for you, considering your own life experiences, the own condition of your neck, your facial structure, and how easily you can breathe. Inhale, coming up. Hands sliding back to table. And then let's take a cat stretch. Tailbone tucks, head bows, shoulders arc up, belly hugs in. Inhale, neutral back. Exhale, step one foot back, and then inhale, step the other foot back. You're returning to plank. All right, from here, we're gonna take the left leg underneath again. We're resting on the outer edge of the foot. However, this time we're not just strengthening. We're gonna slide the left foot through to drop down to the hip. And then we're coming back into a different variation of 4-point star. Right arm out, or excuse me, right arm forward, left arm to the left side, and turning to one cheek. We're getting in a couple postures today for the iliotibial band. And there's a pressure point halfway down the outer thigh that can be super tender and sensitive at times where we're irritated or something is galling us. You may feel that way if things are appearing to fall apart. But then remember, trust that everything's going to fall back into place. All right, we're going to slide the right hand in front of the chest. We're going to bend the left knee and then stack the right leg on top. The left arm stays to the left side. And then we're going to open the top knee for clam. And even though we're doing clam with the hips, this arm that's getting stretched is taking us into broken wing. Exhale, close the clam. And then slide your left hand in and push up. When you push up, plant your palms and then roll into plank. And then this is where we're going to step the right leg through, resting on the outer edge of that foot. We're not holding as long. We did the strengthening earlier. And now we're going to move to the stretch. So we're just going to plop down on the right hip. And then this time, the left arm forward and the right arm to the right side. Slide your left hand in. Keep your right arm the same. Bend and stack your knees. And then elevate the top knee to clam. And push lightly into your left hand for broken wing. And release the clam. Relax enough to slide your right hand in to lift up. And then bring it back to table. And we're going to round the back to cat stretch. And then from cat stretch, we're going to sit back on the heels in child's pose. And this is where I want you to make the pose your own. So in other words, you may prefer knees together or wide apart. You might prefer a longer back with stretched out arms. You might prefer a rounded back with your arms wrapped. So I'm going to let you find the perfect one and what's speaking to you now. Inhale, arms out and rock up. We're going to do a quick, if your thighs are wide, bring the knees closer. We're going to do one more active pose before Shavasana. Flip your left hand, loop it underneath for thread the needle. Dip down towards your left ear and take 3 deep breaths. Breathing into your back ribs, into the back intercostals, into the back door of the heart. And then inhale, come up. And then flip the right hand, thread the needle the other way. 3 deep breaths. And then bring it up. All right. You're ready for Shavasana. I just have the round bolster available today, and you can really set up how you want, but I'm going to put this under my legs. So we'll take time to settle into a relaxing position so that we can follow our movement with rest. Consider that statement, take it easy. Make it easy. And be at ease. And don't feel like you need to be contemplative about anything. You could just simply be. next in-breath, stretch your arms overhead. As you exhale, hug the knees in. We usually get this pose in before now, but this is our first time today. Let's roll over the side and gently come up for a seat. Sitting upright, joining the palms together. Remembering this full moon was in both a masculine and a feminine sign. The sun and the moon being opposing each other. And how the light merges. And wondering what is being lit up or being highlighted for you. May we find a harmonious balance of integration at the heart. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.